Okay, I wanted to show you something. This one, when I made it, I guess I should introduce, I'm starting on the next step, which is sewing these on to the arrow. And this one, I didn't make it wide enough. It was my first one, and I misjudged how much. So as you can see, it's short. So I'm adding 2 beads in the gap, and I want to show you how I do this. First, I just tie my thread somewhere and anchor it. And then I go, and I go into a row, and I grab 2 beads. And then I put on 2 new beads to my needle. The beads are over here. So I got 2 more on my needle, and then I'm going to go to the other side in and out about 2 beads. And I'm going to pull that tight. So I'm going to sewing the ends together, and as I'm doing that, I'm adding beads. Now, if yours fit perfectly and you don't need to add beads, then you can just do this back and forth and don't insert any beads. And in fact, if it's loose, you can even take it off the arrow and sew the 2 ends together and then slide it on. But I'm afraid that I might get it too tight, so I'm just going to do it right here on the arrow. Oops. So there's 2 more beads, and then the 2 on this end I'm going to snag those 2. Sorry. And then go in the next 2. So I'm just kind of going back and forth across my opening, filling in that gap. Okay, I have been wrapping these around and sewing them. Sorry, the camera's having trouble with close-ups. And I decided that I needed to also, in addition to sewing them around and seaming them, I needed to stitch them onto each other. So I've got these 2 stitched together, and I'm going to stitch these 2 together. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my pattern, because I want all my lettering to be on the same side. I've got my needle and my thread started. To start a thread, I just loop it around another thread and tie it, and then cut off the end. So what I'm going to do, so you get a little bit of shadow there, I'm going to, well, let me go down. I'm going to get one of the first blue ones in that row, go through it, and I'm going to go straight up to a white one above it, in and out of that one. Basically, I'm just going to go back and forth, white bead to blue bead, back and forth, and sew them together. And as I do that, I can push some of these. I got all these knots that I glued. They're kind of sticking up here, and I want to make those disappear. So as I work my way around, I'm going to pull this tight, and I'm going to squish those down in there where you can't see them. And I think it's really going to help, because when I first had this one, it had all these white threads sticking up. It looked kind of ugly, and now it looks pretty good, except my yellow beads were bigger than my white ones, so I'm a little fat here. But so anyway, I'm going to stitch those together, just go back and forth. And let's see here, I got 1 more to sew on, and then I think we might put a tassel on it, so that's it for now. Okay, I've got it all stitched together. It's looking pretty good. All my little white threads have disappeared. I just have to figure out what to do with my thread. I went along quite a ways underneath beads. Just sometimes that's the best way to secure something, is just to really incorporate it in. And now I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a thread, one of my weaving threads, put this through the loop, and tie a little knot in it. Except okay, I wasn't able to tie a knot for some reason. I think I accidentally stabbed my own thread, and then I could not get it untangled, so I just cut it off. But I wound it underneath here quite a ways before I cut it off, so I think we'll be alright. So, okay. So I've showed you how to seam them together, and seam them together if you need more beads. I've shown you how to attach 2 of them together. And now I'm going to work on putting my last one on. I got my green eagle to put on. And I will see you later. Alright, I've got all my pieces sewn onto my strip. It's kind of hard, this is zoomed out, but I've decided on the two far ends to put a fringe. So I've got a fringe there, and now I need to put a fringe on this end. So I'm going to show you how to fringe. First you just need to secure your needle somewhere. Just go in and up, grab a thread, tie a knot. Okay, and then I want to go to my very last row, and I want to go in one bead. I just want to catch one bead. Then I've decided for my fringe I'm going to do it 20 beads long. So I'm going to load, got that kind of tangled. I'm going to load 20 beads on my needle. I decided to do it completely random, no pattern, but you could obviously do a pattern if you wanted. I just want to pick up 20 random beads. Got about 20 random beads. I'm going to slide them all down to the end. Now what you're going to do, you want to grab a hold of that last bead and move it, and then you want to go through, back through all the other beads. And out your end one. Now, I've still got a hold of this one. I've only gone through it once. And I'm going to pull my thread. And holding on to this, because it will slide, tighten it up. You don't want it too tight, because otherwise it won't drape nice. But there. If you just pull on it, doesn't work very well, but if you grab a hold of that last bead and pull, that works really good to get it tight. And that's how you do a fringe. Now I'm going to go back where I came up and go in and out the next bead. So this is the bead that came out, so I'm going to go right next to it and in and up. Can be a little bit of trouble with the glue since we glued those ties on the end, but it's not been too bad. So basically between every bead I'm going to put a fringe. I'm going to go all the way around, and when I get done I'm going to tie my thread to my starter thread, and then I'll stick them underneath somewhere and tie them off. Okay, I think I'm all done. I've got my arrow, and I've got my three colors on it, my blue, my white, my yellow, and my green, which are the colors in the ceremony, and I've chosen designs that I think represent what those colors stand for. Put some fringe on the top and the bottom, you can see that, and I've got the beads that my husband put on there, and the feather. I might change the feather. I think somewhere I have some like nice feathers, like a pheasant feather or an eagle feather, so I'm going to have to go searching through my feathers, but there you go. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I have inspired you to get beading. Have a great day.